This isn't about luxury. So why does it feel like heaven? How can a country make everyday life feel smoother, quieter, almost effortless, without making people richer? Because what's happening in Japan isn't obvious. It's hidden in small systems, invisible habits, decisions you don't notice until they're gone. And the uncomfortable truth is, once you see it, you can't unsee what your own country is missing. 15. Heated bathroom floors. It doesn't feel like a big deal until you step out of a warm shower onto freezing tiles somewhere else. In Japan, even modest apartments often include heated bathroom floors. Not luxury homes, not high-end upgrades, just standard comfort built into everyday life. Compare that to many countries where comfort is something you earn through income. Heated floors are marketed as premium, not practical. So why does Japan normalize it? Because the design philosophy isn't about showing wealth, it's about reducing daily discomfort. Cold floors aren't dramatic, but they're repeated friction, and Japan quietly eliminates that friction. The result is subtle but powerful. Your mornings feel smoother. Your body relaxes faster. Small stress disappears before it starts. And that's the pattern you begin to notice. Japan doesn't wait for problems to become big. It solves them when they're still small. 14. Silent public spaces. It's not silence, it's restraint. Step into a crowded Japanese train and something feels different. People are there, packed even. But the noise never rises. No loud calls. No music leaking from phones. No chaos. Now compare that to many countries where public space equals expression. Conversations overlap. Their volume rises. Presence becomes performance. Japan flips that idea. Here, the unspoken rule is simple. Don't disturb the shared environment. This isn't enforced by police or signs, it's internalized behavior. People adjust themselves without being told. In contrast, other societies rely on external correction, rules, reminders, enforcement. Japan relies on self-control. And the psychological effect is immediate. Your brain relaxes. Your senses stop scanning for disruption. Even in crowds, you feel calm. But once you experience that calm, you start noticing how loud everything else really is. 13. Precise delivery systems. Imagine knowing exactly when your package will arrive and being right. In Japan, deliveries aren't vague promises. You choose a time slot, sometimes as specific as 2 hours, and it shows up within that window. Now compare that to systems where delivery today could mean any time from morning to night. You wait, you adjust, you lose hours without realizing it. Japan removes that uncertainty. Why? Because the system is built around respecting the receiver's time, not just the sender's convenience. That shift changes everything. You don't plan your day around waiting. You don't build in extra buffer time. Life becomes predictable. And predictability reduces stress. It's not about speed, it's about reliability. Because when systems stop wasting your time, you start feeling like your time actually matters. And that feeling is rare. 12. Umbrella lockers. Rain creates a small but constant inconvenience. Wet umbrellas drip on floors. You carry them awkwardly. Shops get messy. Most countries accept this as normal. Japan doesn't. Outside many stores, you'll find umbrella lockers. You slide your umbrella in, lock it, and retrieve it when you leave. No dripping, no carrying, no inconvenience inside. It seems minor, but that's exactly the point. Japan focuses on problems most systems ignore because they're too small. But small problems repeat. And repeated inconvenience becomes daily friction. By removing even this, Japan creates smoother transitions between spaces. You walk into a store clean. You move freely. You don't think about what you're holding. That's the pattern again. Life isn't improved through big changes. It's improved through eliminating tiny annoyances, one by one. 11. Micro parks in neighborhoods. You don't need a large park to feel calm. In Japan, small residential areas often include microparks, just a bench, a tree, maybe a swing. Nothing impressive, but incredibly effective. Compare that to cities where green space is centralized, large parks but far away. You have to plan to reach them. Japan decentralizes calm. It places small moments of rest within walking distance. Why? Because stress isn't something you deal with once a week. It builds daily. Microparks allow quick resets, a few minutes of quiet, a pause between routines, and that changes how people experience their day. Instead of escaping stress occasionally, they interrupt it continuously. The design is subtle, but the impact is cumulative. Because sometimes you don't need a destination to relax, you just need a place to stop. 10. No tipping culture. Pay the bill. Leave. That's it. No calculations, no awkwardness. No wondering if you gave enough. In Japan, tipping doesn't exist. So now compare that to tipping cultures where every service interaction carries hidden pressure. You're evaluating service. They're anticipating reward. It creates tension. Japan removes that layer entirely. Service quality doesn't depend on tips. It depends on standards. Workers perform their role correctly because that's the expectation, not because of extra incentives. This creates consistency. You don't question the experience. You don't feel judged. You don't need to perform gratitude through money. And psychologically, that's freeing, because it removes a subtle but constant social negotiation. Service becomes what it should be: reliable, neutral, stress-free. And once you experience that, tipping starts to feel strangely complicated. 9. Trains that apologize for seconds. A train is late by 30 seconds, and there's an apology. Not as a joke, as a real acknowledgement. In Japan, delays are rare, and even the smallest disruption is taken seriously. Now compare that to systems where delays are expected. Minutes turn into hours. Apologies are vague or absent. The difference isn't just efficiency, it's mindset. Japan treats time as something shared. If the system fails, even slightly, it acknowledges that impact. In contrast, many systems normalize delay. It's expected, accepted, but expectation shapes experience. In Japan, you trust the system, and trust reduces anxiety. You don't check constantly, you don't plan for failure, you simply arrive. And that reliability creates something deeper than convenience. It creates confidence in the environment around you. 8. Personal responsibility for cleanliness. There are fewer trash bins in Japan, and yet it's cleaner. At first, that doesn't make sense. In many countries, cleanliness depends on infrastructure. More bins, more cleaners, more enforcement. Japan flips it. People carry their trash until they find a place to dispose of it. Not because they're forced, because it's expected. The responsibility is internal. Compare that to systems where responsibility is externalized. People assume someone else will clean up. That creates visible disorder. Japan removes that assumption. And when everyone participates, even quietly, the environment changes. Streets feel cared for, spaces feel respected, and that affects behavior in return. Because people treat clean environments differently, they protect them. 7. Seasonal living. In many places, the year feels the same. Same products. Same menus. Same packaging. Japan changes constantly. Seasonal drinks. Limited edition foods. Packaging that reflects cherry blossoms, autumn leaves, winter themes. Even everyday items evolve. Why? Because Japan emphasizes awareness of time passing. Seasons aren't just weather, they're experiences. In contrast, many systems prioritize consistency. Same products year-round for efficiency. Japan sacrifices some efficiency to create variation, and that variation keeps life engaging. You notice change, you anticipate moments, you feel time moving. It's subtle but powerful. because repetition dulls experience, but when your environment shifts with time, life feels more alive. 6. Shoe removal culture. It starts at the door. Shoes off. In Japan, this isn't optional, it's foundational. Homes, certain restaurants, traditional spaces all require removing shoes before entering. Compare that to cultures where outdoor and indoor spaces blend. Shoes carry everything inside: dust, dirt, bacteria. Japan separates environments. Why? Because cleanliness isn't just visual, it's physical. And that physical separation creates psychological calm. Floors are cleaner. Spaces feel softer. Movement feels more relaxed. It's a boundary. Outside world versus inside world. And that boundary matters. Because when your environment feels clean, your mind follows. 5. Thoughtful packaging. Buy something simple in Japan and watch how it's handled. Wrapped carefully. Presented neatly. Sometimes beautifully. Even small purchases feel intentional. Now compare that to fast, minimal packaging in other countries. Efficient, but impersonal. Japan treats presentation as part of the experience. Why? Because the moment of exchange matters. It's not just about the product, it's about how it's given. That creates emotional value. You feel respected. The item feels meaningful, even if it's small. And that changes perception, because when everyday interactions feel thoughtful, life feels elevated. 4. Women-only train cars. Crowded spaces can feel unpredictable. In Japan, certain train cars are designated for women during peak hours, not as a reaction, but as a proactive design. Compare that to systems where safety is addressed after incidents occur. Japan builds prevention into structure. Why? Because comfort isn't just physical, it's psychological. Knowing there's a space designed for safety changes how people experience transit. It reduces tension. It creates choice. And choice creates control, which leads to comfort. 3. Personal space without physical barriers. No one tells you to step back, yet everyone does. Stand in line in Japan and you'll notice something unusual. People naturally maintain distance. Not exaggerated, but enough to feel comfortable. Now compare that to many countries where personal space is inconsistent. Lines compress. People stand close. Movement feels crowded even when there's room. Japan doesn't rely on signs or enforcement. It relies on awareness. From a young age, people are conditioned to recognize invisible boundaries. How close is too close? How movement affects others? How presence should adjust? This creates a strange effect. Even in busy places, you don't feel pushed. You don't feel watched. You don't feel invaded. And that reduces stress in ways most people don't consciously notice, because physical discomfort isn't always obvious. But when it disappears, your entire environment starts to feel calmer. 2. Effortless checkout systems. Watch a cashier in Japan. It's fast, but controlled. Items are scanned, organized, bagged with precision. No chaos, no confusion. Now compare that to environments where checkout feels rushed or disorganized. Japan designs flow. Why? Because small delays accumulate. Efficient systems remove micro-friction. And when every step flows smoothly, your entire experience improves. 1. The absence of everyday chaos. This is what everything leads to. It's not one system. It's the absence of disruption. No random noise, no unpredictable delays, no constant friction. Life flows. And that flow changes everything. Because stress isn't always big. It's built from small interruptions. Japan removes many of them. And what's left feels like peace. Not because life is easier, but because it's designed better. It started with a simple question. Why does life feel easier there? And now the answer is harder to ignore. It's not luxury, It's not wealth, it's design, repeated in ways you barely notice. Small systems, quiet habits, invisible rules shaping everything around you. And once you've seen it, you don't just admire it, you start questioning what your own world could have been.